Let's see how we can use Claude within Excel to create some dashboards, data visualization dashboards. Many different terms we use for data visualization. Some people like to say descriptive analytics or descriptive statistics, but essentially it's about converting data, specifically numbers, into pictures that we can easily study. If you don't know how to add Claude within Excel, please watch my other video, which have put a link in the description of this video, and that will show you how to add Claude using this add-ins button. You'll be able to add it. Now, once you add it, you will see Claude right here. And let's make Claude generate some data for us, even though you may have your own data, and you can use it to create these pictures or dashboards. We'll also actually, create a memo based on the graphs, and maybe we'll ask Claude to make some recommendations and whatnot. So in the prompt box here, I'll say create uh, a table of product sales at a major retail company, for example, Walmart, right? So, which sells a lot of different types of products. So, create a table of product sales at a major retail company showing transaction ID, customer name, product name, transaction date, perhaps quantity they purchased, the price of each product, and I'll say maybe region where the product was sold, and I'll let Claude decide, and any other appropriate fields. I'll also mention how many product sales. For the purpose of this example, let's go with 100. You can have 1,000. It'll take a little bit more time. Um, Maybe just to make it even quicker, I'm just going to make it 50, so that I can show you most of the table, if not the whole table, in one screen. And once we have the data, we'll ask it to create the dashboard on a different sheet. These columns, as you can see, I cannot see the entire name, but it should auto fit these columns once the data is generated. If not, we'll ask it to do so. So it added a couple of other things. It looks like the product category I didn't mention, the payment method I didn't mention. Seems to have generated 25 sales. It's going to do 25 more. Not sure why it's taking some extra time. Sometimes it also depends on the time of the day when you're using Claude. These days, it's become very popular, so sometimes it gives you an overload error. Hopefully, they'll fix it. Right now, we are lucky. No such issues. And as you can see, I didn't auto fit this, it's doing it itself. And you have 50 rows of data. In this box gray area, it's telling us what it's doing, what it's thinking. So 50 product sales we have. We'll say on sheet 2, otherwise it might do it in sheet 1 itself. So I'll be specific about it. Or on a different sheet, I could say, or a new sheet. On sheet 2, create appropriate. I'll let it decide. Yes, in many times we know exactly what graph we want to see, but we will let it decide right now. Create appropriate charts based on the table in on sheet 1. And it looks like it's deciding what are the appropriate charts here. So it's going to give a bar chart, pie chart. We'll also make it do some pivot tables. If you don't know what pivot tables are, you will know what they are in this video. It's a it's much more time consuming and labor intensive if you're doing it from scratch within Excel. But as you can see with Claude, it's pretty fast. And we will see it's fast with the pivot tables as well. And again, it should auto fit these columns. I can do it myself, but I'll let Claude do it. Later on, we'll ask Claude to rename these sheets to appropriate names, give appropriate names to these. And I don't see any charts. I'm just gonna say that I don't see the charts. So it's potential data loss. So I'll just say allow. It's asking me whether to ungroup the columns in a way where it can show the chart positions correctly. So whatever it wants to do, yeah. So something might have happened where the column size was probably not appropriate, or not sufficient, and now it's we can see the charts. So this could be called a dashboard. It's Notice that it also has the tables that it used to create these graphs, and it's asking me whether I can see now. Now I'll say, uh, can you make these charts dynamic? Meaning, if I change the data in sheet 1, um, it should change the charts on sheet 2 accordingly. Okay, they're already dynamic, it says. Uh, okay, so it's, in other words, if I change the data here, it looks like it'll change, but now it's going to do the truly dynamic, it says, where if you change the data on sheet 1, it should change the graphs here. And it's doing that right now for us. And we'll give it a check. Yeah, so it's even encouraging us to give it a try. So I'll change. Right now I see a chart here for electronics. I'm just going to make electronics one of the products, increase the number to a big number here and see what happens. Right now this is sales. Anyway, so even if I add a few, it should increase the number from whatever it is right now. So I'll make it 100 here. And that is that electronics. uh, Previously it was 70,000 something, I think. Now it has increased. It's just the scale got adjusted. So 12,000 something. And if I make it 100, yeah, so it's basically it increased. So It's good. So it is truly dynamic, and because the scale changed, I got a little bit confused. But I will go back to one here so that we can see what we saw before, and that's so it is dynamic. And we'll say on sheet three, create a memo. By the way, it's some of the columns, they're not showing the whole thing. So I'll say auto fit the columns in the tables on sheet 2. So it should fix that. Okay, that's good. So it did it. And now I'll say on sheet 3, create a memo based on the charts on sheet 2. It will summarize the graphs, and sometimes I've seen it also make some recommendations uh, based on certain concerns that a retail store might have. Maybe some product category sales are low, or a particular product is not selling as much as the others. We'll see. If it doesn't give us recommendations, we'll ask it to do it. So it started to generate the senior leadership team, sales analytics department. And I have said this in my other videos as well. When you're using AI, the domain knowledge is very important. For example, on sheet 2, it generated some graphs. Maybe they are not of interest to you. Maybe you want to see some other type of chart. So that's when the domain knowledge comes in, as opposed to just using what AI is giving us. And in the future, people with the domain knowledge and AI skills, I think, are going to be more valuable or more valued by companies than people with just AI knowledge. So it's always good to have the background. So here we have the recommendations as well. So that's pretty good. I didn't even ask for recommendations, but typical memo may have recommendations as well, depending on the company, depending on the leadership, what they expect to see there. And so sales by payment method, it's talking about monthly sales trend, any trends based on the data it generated. I won't go into the details here, but it's obviously based on the data it generated for us, fictitious data. Now let's say on sheet 4, uh, generate a couple of or useful pivot tables, I'll say. So this is back to the point I was making about domain knowledge. So if you don't know what pivot tables are, then you wouldn't be asking AI to produce pivot tables, because we wouldn't know the value of pivot tables. But the domain knowledge is making us ask AI to produce it so that we can use it. Essentially, pivot tables help us narrow the information down to what we are interested in seeing. Sales by category and region, it will show all the regions in the table. And if you want to just see one of the regions, or a couple of regions among the possible regions, then you could adjust the table accordingly pretty quickly, and instead of creating a separate table. So that will help do. So for example, here row labels, if I click on, this is about all the 4 product categories and across all the regions, the totals, etc. And if I want to see only electronics and footwear, for example, I can uncheck those and click OK. I'll see only those. And maybe I want to see only the northeast of these electronics and footwear. I'll click on this column labels here, and I will just check the northeast one, and I have just the northeast and the total. If I add another region, it will just give the total of those two. For example, northeast and southeast, let's say, and it's giving us the total of those two for each type of product. So very useful pivot tables to narrow it down to what we are interested in seeing. And I'll say here, give appropriate names to the four sheets. If we were to do this manually, we'll have to right click on each sheet and then give a name. And as you can see, just in a couple of seconds, it gave the names to all these four tables. And we could use, a lot of times we use different functions to look up something or maybe highlight certain things. We can do this very quickly with Claude or any AI tool once it's available within Excel. Right now I'm using Claude, seems to be doing a fine job. So I'll say, for example, highlight all products sold in northeast, or I'll see category here. So I'll say highlight all electronics products. So now the region, I don't see it in my view here. Electronics, I can even mention another condition there, all high electronics products sold in northeast, let's say. But let's go with this right now. I should have said in sheet one. It wouldn't know otherwise. Yeah, I did it actually. So let's see if we did it on in the other ones. Yeah, it looks like it did not. Of course, there's no product names there, so it did not. But it somehow figured out it was in sheet one, and then it did it. So hopefully that was useful. We'll talk about other data science techniques. There are other videos I've posted. For example, one of them was Monte Carlo simulation, and I'll keep posting many videos. For example, clustering, classification, regression, all those things. How we can do very fast and very efficiently within Excel with AI. Claude AI.